next stop is On the Radar Radio.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please. Yeah.
Yes, sir, baby. On the Radar Radio Country Edition, powered by Monster, the one, the only Blanco Brown in the building. My guy, welcome to the show, man.
Man, blessings.
How you feeling today?
Man, I'm feeling amazing.
You've been working a lot lately. You've been on the move.
Yeah, I've been going nonstop.
If you had like one word to describe life lately, what would you say? What would that word be?
Graceful.
Graceful. Why graceful?
Because I got all the grace from the man above.
I like that.
Yes, sir.
Are you a very spiritual person like that?
Oh yeah, I'm very spiritual. It's only one.
Mm-hmm. Do you talk to him every day?
Every day. Yep.
What was the conversation you had today?
Man, that between me and the Lord.
Well, look, man, it's a pleasure having you here. You've been one of the very highly talked about artists that we've been wanting to do when we came down here. Every day we're like, yeah, recommend this artist. They're like, you got Blanco. We're like, yeah, we got Blanco. It's happening. Your story is so interesting, man, because you've had a really crazy 5 years.
Oh, definitely.
Right, and I want to talk about the craziness within those 5 years, but I'm also kind of interested to know what happened before those 5 years. Right, obviously 2019 was such a breakout year for you and your career, but what was like the mid to early 2010s like for Blanco Brown? Like, what was that like before, the current iteration of you that we know and love today?
Oh man, I was doing a lot of songwriting, engineering, mixing, vocal producing, the whole nine.
Right.
Kane Brown, Childish Gambino, got dang on Chris Brown, Fergie, Caitlyn, Kane Brown's wife.
Right.
I working on her project. I mean, like a lot of stuff.
A lot of behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
Well, during those times like of you working on with all those incredible people that you just mentioned, what was like kind of like the defining moment for you where you really wanted to allow yourself to shine and take that center stage and become who you are now?
There was really no defining moment because I never really wanted to be an artist. That's the truth. I like being behind the scenes and being incognito, you know what I'm saying, but still make ends meet. With this sound that I created called Trailer Trap, country music meets trap music, I just bridged the gap. I felt like there was nobody else that could live in that space the way I live in that space because it's my truth. So I couldn't appoint anybody to live my purpose out. So it was either do what I knew I was supposed to be doing or stand in the background and be 60, 70 years old, talk about what I could have been doing.
Right. I respect, I was going to bring up the Trailer Trap later on in the interview, but since you mentioned it right now, like what was kind of like the first moment that you came up with that phrase and you kind of came and you coined it? Because I feel like right now there's a lot of kind of like trailer trap going around. You know what I'm saying? We had some other artists here earlier today. They kind of called it like country trap. Like everybody got their own name for it, but like obviously trailer trap is the one that you coined, right? So where did the origins of you and when did you come up with that phrase?
Man, I started putting 808s and hi-hats, trap drums on country music in 2012. Maybe the end of 2011. But that's when I came up with the sound and the name came further along, but the sound was already there.
Right, yeah.
Yep.
It's crazy that you talk about putting those hi-hats and the 808s on country music in 2012 because here we are in 2024 and I feel like now you're starting to see the real rise of those type of beats and that type of sound as we start to see more incredible black country artists kind of get into this space and really kind of take off with it. Did you think like back in 2012 that we would be here like 12 years later and it would be like now that it's really heavily catching on in this manner too?
Man, I felt like it was always a space for my sound and I just felt like people were gonna catch on when the timing was supposed to be, the divine appointment.
Right.
But I was gonna create it regardless. I mean, think about it. It's a decade and 2 years later, and people just now really just going full throttle with the trap drums on country music. People have been like dibbling dabbling, but that wasn't like a perfect blend of it. It was either too trap or too country, and I met right down the middle. I wanted everything.
Right.
I love them both equally.
Yeah, because I feel like, I like what you said, where it's like it was either one or the other. It was leaning too heavy onto one side with artists who have tried to kind of blend this together. Obviously, you kind of found like that perfect blend with your sound. But I think it's interesting to see how like, you know, what you had started and created in like 2012 has been kind of, you know, other artists have, whether they know who you are or not, have done something similar, but they haven't fully been able to commit to like that middle part, like that kind of like that key that they need to really harness that sound.
Live in both spaces.
Yep. You know, I had another incredible artist here from Atlanta earlier or late last week. We had Tony Evans Jr. here, right? Obviously, it's interesting when you get to speak to artists coming from Atlanta who are part of this country sound, right? For you, growing up in Atlanta, were you an avid like country music listener growing up in that way too?
Man, I used to sneak off and listen to country music because people laugh at me.
That's what Tony said too. Tony said he had to use to sneak away to listen to country music.
Yep, but when I got to Butler, Georgia, everything was normal about country music, so we got to blast it through that Bonneville.
Was there ever a point where, and I had asked Tony this too, like the people who he was around, was there ever a point where the people that you were around, I mean, you know, you said when you had moved, but was there ever a point where they were like, you know, maybe country music isn't as bad as the perception that was given to them was? Like, was there ever a moment where they're like, you know what, Blanco, we think you onto something, like maybe you're right, maybe this isn't that bad?
Oh yeah, I mean, I had a lot of friends, a lot of homies, and a lot of people that came in the studio that never had heard of me or the sound, and they wanted to be in on it. Like, hey, can we invest in it? What can we do? Like, we want to be a part of this. Like,
way down the line later, yeah.
That was like 2016. People started trying to invest. Yep. And
you were like, well, I've been blasting this country music since I was a kid.
Yeah, man. I mean, growing up listening to Tim McGraw in the summer, and throughout the year, but in the summer times, going to Butler, Georgia, spending time there, from generators to sitting on propane tanks. That's what my life really was about. So, I mean, hey, life is lifing.
Right. And you know, we had this incredible breakout moment in 2019 with Get Up, right? First of all, Get Up. Yeah. So I gotta put with the I, right? Get Up. Get Up.
They're two different songs. Get Up.
Get Up, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we have this viral moment, right? And it's at such an interesting time because it's right before the pandemic, right? You start achieving all this success during the pandemic. Obviously, I know about the accident in 2020, but before that, like in this time period of Get Up into the pandemic, like what is your life like in that time? Because it's like, you know, you're achieving so much success and then you get hit with the pandemic, you get hit with the accident in 2020. How do you remain positive and also continue to move forward during that time where everything is so kind of like questionable of like what's going on?
I had to find my space back to positivity. That's how I know what I live for and die for is actually working for me and the world in a lot of aspects. I went through a space where I didn't know if I was going to get back up, and I was like going through depression, and I was also dealing with nerve damage and drop foot, and left foot still not at 100%, but by the grace of God, I'm walking and moving. I could dance and do a little 1-2 step here and there. You understand me?
Yeah.
But that space, man, I had to grow back into that positive space, and by the time the world saw me again, I was a fully bloomed flower.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I love how the album, because when I went on your Instagram earlier and I was preparing for this interview, like I saw that you just got your gold plaque.
Oh yeah, in Canada. Yeah.
In Canada.
Yep. 4.5 years later, 4.25, we went gold because the album came out in October.
Yeah.
So we got a little bit of the year to go, but man, I mean, the love been real since day one. The gold is coming here in the U.S. real soon too. They're close.
It's real close. We'll be seeing the plaque hopefully soon.
I'm talking about like so close. I'm talking about maybe 480,000+ units sold. We just need just a little bit more.
Right. You know, it's crazy because when we're hanging out in the back before we even did the performance, like, you know, you talked about how it went gold in Canada, and I think like, you know, for new, because I think there's a lot of interest around, well, I know there's a lot of interest around country music right now, especially from new listeners, through what we're doing, through what Beyonce has done, all that. But what's interesting to me that, you know, and what I've learned in my time down here is how expansive the genre has been, right? And when you say it goes gold in Canada, that's something that, I feel like a lot of people, even me at first, I'm like, oh, wow, like I didn't even think that, you know, a country album would do this well outside of America, right? So even in your case, right, what have been like some of the, I guess, surprising moments outside of just American listeners that kind of like, did the Canadian Gold album surprise you? Like, have you had a lot of moments with people from outside of the country where you're like, wow, I can't believe that like you guys are listening to this type of music? Because it feels like country music is obviously so rooted in America that you don't really automatically think that people outside of America listen to it.
Man, I wouldn't necessarily say surprised because I felt the love since day one. But I will say, when the song came out, it went number one viral, number one Spotify in 16 different countries.
Yeah.
And these were countries that never consumed country music. So I knew that I was on a different wave and I hadn't woken up a beast. And I was just ready to see what everybody else was going to do with this beast that I hadn't woke up. Now you got to figure out what's the next step.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm blessed to just see it flourishing, inspiring new people to come into the genre. And I don't feel like it was too many people that it didn't reach. I got videos of Justin Bieber doing a dance in the room before he go out on stage. I got videos of the Kardashians doing it. I mean, like it touched everywhere, man.
Right. Well, Heartache and Lemonade out now.
Definitely.
New EP. You know, and this is kind of like this project, right? A great way to kick off the year. With creating this project, because I already know that because we were talking, even the song you did today, you're like, I'm already ready to go again. You know what I'm saying? I'm ready to drop again. We're kind of getting back into the space of really dropping projects again. What was kind of the intention for you to drop this EP at the beginning of this year? Like, what is kind of like, where is your head at in terms of like creativity, creating this project, and then kind of already getting ready to deep dive into another joint?
Man, so hindsight, I started on this project before my wreck. And a lot of people know and a lot of people don't know I got hit by a drunk driver head on.
Right.
After the wreck, I couldn't work for months, and then I got back to working. So I just feel like it was time for the world to hear my pain, my struggles, and see my smile. And this was the way to do so. The very thing that introduced me to them, I can let them know, hey, I'm still doing okay.
Yeah.
And by grace, I'm here.
Right.
That's for anybody who want to see a purpose in their life. Once you find that purpose, it's going to drive itself, but you got to steer it.
Right.
Yeah.
And with this project, this is kind of like the return to that. Yeah,
feeling. It's definitely that. Heartache and Lemonade. Going from broken hearts and all the painful things into something that's sweet, turning bitter moments into something that's sweet.
Right. And how do you find it in yourself to turn those bitter moments into something sweet when you're creating this project? Like, you know, you think about everything that you've been through. Was there like a specific time when creating this EP that you were able to find like certain things in your life that kind of pulled you in that direction towards the lemonade? You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, man. Usually it starts with a track. Tell you the truth, the track usually feel like lemonade before the words do, and that's how I got most of my concepts. I listen to the tracks or the melodies that were given to me, you know, through my core of creating.
Yeah.
And then I go into the lyrics and try to make something that nobody has heard. If you think about it, like the Get Up, you can't say it sounds like another song. Those chords didn't come from nothing but God. And I like to create music like that. I see like a lot of people sample a lot of things these days. I like that too. But I feel like when it's like divine appointment and it's a God-given gift, it starts within your core with your melodies that's been strung through you, and your purpose and your lyrics are those words that bring people to positive spaces in their life. Because if you think about the Get Up, a lot of people say it wasn't a serious song, but it saved a lot of serious lives. And
I like that.
And through all the joy and all of the laughter and all the smiles, people were actually being healed. People were giving their life to God, giving their life to Christ, whoever you serve. And I mean, like, I had people inbox me about suicidal thoughts that they made it out of. And nothing gets more serious than that. I don't care what you're talking about in this world. When music can change the trajectory of your standards in your life and what you're going through, you have something serious.
Right. And when you seen like the reaction to like, you know, that song that, and even like the music you were creating during that time too, like that was also kind of like part of like the leading into the Lemonade, like seeing how much you help people and how much you heal people. while you were going through your own time of personal healing?
Man, yeah. I mean, when I was going through my personal time of healing, I didn't think to myself how deep some of the words were, but they got me through to my next thing, Jaws of Power. You got to strap up your boots, keep your feeling in line. Thank God I'm alive. And then other lyrics that I didn't even think about until I started like getting back into me and saying, man, those words are serious. Like, I need love. I say, as I walk through the cornfield, a room full of emptiness. As I look to my left and my right, there's no one there to hold my hand. As my nerves get to shaking and my voice get to trembling, just keep going. Yeah, I'll keep going on a ledge. Like those type of lyrics were the ones that got me back to, man, I told myself in hindsight to keep going, and I didn't know I was going to need those lyrics, but those lyrics get me through to the next thing. Right.
You didn't know that you were sending even like that. Even 2019, you was even sending the message to 2020 you when you were going through the accident.
I was trying to make messages for everybody that needed them. Yeah. I didn't know I needed a message too. So it's a blessing, man, to be a blessing to myself by the grace of God.
And so where do we go from here? So now we kind of back to that Lemonade feeling, right? What is kind of like the roadmap for you for the rest of this year? Like, what are you kind of working on? Was this EP just a warm up for a bigger project? Like, where are you kind of at mentally with that?
I started with a double project, and then we broke it down into EPs.
Okay.
Because the label felt like it was so much good music, a lot of it was going to get lost in consumption.
It's not a bad problem to have.
So we did 444. We did the 444 like the Wendy's, you understand me?
For sure.
But long story short, I have a next project coming out in June.
Okay.
And then the other date, you know, I wait till that we get closer to that time. But
yeah.
But we making music. I'm trying to change lives, and it's never been about me, man. It's been about the message. Because even when we gone and people don't remember my face, they remember my song.
Right.
Yeah.
With the projects, right? You said that like there's so much good music, they didn't want none of it to get lost, right? Which I think is incredible. How do you take that project, right, and then do a 4 for 4 out of it? Like, do each one of these EPs have their own specific type of, I would say, like concept or sound that makes them distinctive from each other, or is it just all just really good music all the way through?
I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. 100. It was 24 records, 1 through 12. For some strange reason, out of every 4 songs, I had 1 to 2 singles. And I didn't have to rearrange anything. This first EP, you got Energy, you got Tailgating in the Sun, you got Good As It Gets, and then you got Sunshine Shine.
Which is a fan favorite.
Sunshine Shine was the first song I put out. And then when they say they want to break it down into EPs, it happened to be number 4 on that. And then for this next one, you got me and Diane Warren, Snapshot.
Yeah.
And I think that's number 8 on the next record. So it's like every 4 records is a single.
Right. Are they all going to kind of like come together after you put them all out and going to put them into one project?
Man, you know, further discussion, but the next EP I will say is going to be called Cedar Walls and Whiskey. So, I mean, like they all got their own little taste, but they all got their own place.
Where does Cedar Walls and Whiskey come from you? Because you, like how you said, like on the last one, it was like kind of going from a sad place to then finding that sweet place with the Lemonade. What does that meaning of that project have, or what deeper meaning does it have for you?
Yeah, see, that's a crazy thing because a lot of people look at the word heartache into Lemonade and they say sad. For me, heartache has been my biggest moments in life. Without the heartache, I wouldn't have written a lot of these songs. So I need a little heartache every once in a while. I don't take it as a sad space. I take it as a space that reminds you of what life could be. You can get some bitter moments, but you need to realize that you can turn those things to something sweet.
Right.
For Cedar Walls and Whiskey, I grew up, man, with cedar walls behind me and sitting on that old grandma couch with that floral print. Everybody grandma had one. And that's what it felt like. Whiskey, I just feel like whiskey is one of those things where it burns your chest and it makes you think and contemplate about what you're going through or what you've been through. And the Cedar Walls mixed with a little bit of reality brought that next EP full circle. Just getting some things off your chest.
Right.
That's what I felt like by that title, because I don't drink at all.
Oh, you don't drink at all?
I don't drink.
Well, did you
You
stop
might
at
catch.
some
Now,
point,
let me
or-
say, you might catch me take a shot, celebratory shot, and I'm talking about maybe once or twice a year. I can count it. I don't. It ain't my thing, but you know, I'll take a shot here and there.
Right. I like the whiskey. How you said like it makes you think, because like when it hits your chest,
It
and
make
then
you
you start
think.
being like, why'd I do that? But I feel like you kind of said it, but also like when you take the shot of whiskey, it makes you think about what you've been through, where you've been, and then where you're going. You know what I'm saying? Which kind of makes me think of like the Cedar Walls. Like it kind of brings you back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You think about where you came from with the Cedar Walls, the floral couch, the plastic on the sofa. If your grandma had that,
I'm trying to tell you,
You know,
if your
like-
grandma ain't had a plastic on the sofa, I don't know what was going on. Cause just
Right.
about everybody grandma I know had plastic on the sofa.
uncomfortable ass couch.
I'm trying to say,
You try to lay down on that, take a nap.
legs be sticking to you. Wake up sticking to it like a seal.
Oh no, I remember Christmas Eve at my abuela's house in the Bronx up in New York. I would take my little after Christmas Eve nap, and I wake up, I'd be like, and immediately crinkle. It was
Man,
horrible.
you got whips on your face from the plastic. I'm talking about the whole nine.
But there's like a beauty in that too, in that remembrance. So I'm super excited for that.
Nostalgia.
And then we'll have another project after that.
Yep.
All just you on these projects for the most part.
Yeah, these EPs, it's just me. It's
Okay.
featuring nobody. Because when I did the double album, I had features on the second half.
Right.
I've always, if you realize, I don't have a feature on. I've never featured anybody on none of my stuff.
Yeah.
It's always been me. I've been featured on other people's projects, but a lot of artists run to like other artists to like justify them or what they are. Essentially, I know that I'm country and I know that I'm trailer trap. I didn't need nobody to vouch for me.
Right.
So I got my feet into the way I wanted to get my feet in it. And I'm building my foundation and my solidarity the way I know God sees fit for me and my career. Right. Because when it's all said and done, even if it takes 5 more years for me to be that guy, I'm going to go 5 years through God's walk.
Word. I love that, man. I think that's a great place to end it. Look, I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for sharing your talent and your gift with us. By the time people see this performance out now, please go run that up. Before we get out of here, anything else you want to let the people know, where they can follow you at, all that good stuff? Now's the time to do it. This camera right here.
Man, at Blanco Brown on everything. BlancoBrown.
There you go.
Remember, trailer trapping, purpose over everything.
Trailer Trap, purpose over everything. Make sure you go follow him. Go run up the new EP out now. Go run up everything he has. Go show him some love. Go show him some support. Love is free. Support is free. But y'all already knew that. Till next time, Blanco Brown on the Radar Country. We out. Bow. I got it.